describe kind of life of a receiver and just how helpless it is in a game like this?
Yeah, it's tough, it's frustrating, and the individual stats doesn't really mean anything. If we win the game, then it doesn't really matter. So it just sucks that we lose the game. I don't have much much towards the game. So we just got to fix it and figure out what we got to do on offense.
Justin, to be saying that again, just how frustrating is it to be at this place seemingly weekly?
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating to lose. It's frustrating to, to be up here and say the same things every single week and expecting for something to change the following week, and we're still in the same spot. So we just got to figure it out and see the things that we need to change and get better.
As you're standing over on the side, at last few minutes, and you're just over by yourself, what's going through your mind in that type of moment?
We lost again. I hate to lose. I hate to be in this type of situation. I hate feeling the way we feel. I hate coming in this locker room, seeing the down faces and the not negative energy, but the down energy. So, it's like I said, we just gotta fix it and turn it around.
Justin, it's also, I don't know if you've ever been part of a game where you've only had 4 net yards in the second half. Different than the first, obviously. What do they do differently, and is that part of the frustration too? I mean, that's an entire offense right there with that number.
No, I wouldn't say they did anything differently. Their D-line is good. They had some pressure on the quarterback that didn't really allow us to really, throw the ball downfield. They kept pretty much a blanket over top of us, so we really couldn't run downfield. So it was just mostly zone and just allowing their D-line to go attack the quarterback.
Justin, at this point in the season, do you have any idea what you guys can do to try to turn this around?
At this moment, I don't know. We just got to go back to work. We just got to go back to work and figure out what we can do to help this team win offensively. We feel like the defense have been playing well. Has been, of course, the turnovers aren't there, but I feel like they're making stops and giving us the ball back and give us those opportunities to, go down and put points on the board. We just not doing that as offense. So we just got to figure that out.
Just another ways to get you involved. The pressure. Obviously, you were open on some of those, but by that time, he was on his back by then. Is there ways of getting you involved that don't require extra protection? Or?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's something for the play callers to really answer, and for me to just go out there and continue doing what I got to do and to get open, create that separation, and once the ball is up and coming my way, to make that play. So I don't know.
After last week and then today, what do you tell yourself when you go home on how to handle this and also how to be a leader? And I mean, it's something you really haven't had to deal with in your career yet.
Yeah, that's the toughest part about it. Just with these past couple weeks and just losing and not really doing what we need to do on the offensive side of the ball. It's definitely frustrating. It's definitely frustrating. It's hard to keep the positive energy and the go back to work mentality. But that's what we need to do. It's something that we need to focus on is to come back tomorrow and go back to work and don't really hang our heads and don't really think about the negative part about it. But we definitely need to fix some things around and change what we're doing.
And that's what you have to say to yourself.
For sure.
Justin number 36 had said a couple things to you coming out the field, those series at the end. What was he saying?
Nothing much, for real. Just BS. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Sucks. Got to give a lot of credit to them. They executed better than us all day today, and had a great game plan and executed that game plan better than we did. I got to be better. I got to do a lot of things better, and I'll open up to any questions.
JJ, where does that start for you, just getting better from this?
Getting on the plane and watching the film and just continuing to just stack the days and wake up every single day ready to get better and just make small increments each and every day and continuing to just perfect my craft and the weaknesses that are exposed, make sure I'm on track with those and getting back to the right spot every week.
JJ, where is your confidence level at?
Confidence is always high, no matter what, because of the guys in that room, because of the trust and faith in my abilities, and it's just we got to put things together. We got to keep putting days together, plays together, and execute better at the end of the day.
What stands out from this game specifically that you'd like to improve kind of going forward?
I feel like this game, I went into it with a lot of things that I felt like I did pretty well with my feet and just staying calm and all that in the pocket, but there's little things that show up in a big way in these type of games, and just making sure that every play there's a full intensity, focus, and urgency, and I think we slipped a couple times with that today, and we got to be better.
JJ, during the course of the game when it's going like that, what kind of goes through your mind, and what how, if you can, do you kind of keep it from snowballing?
Just focus on the next play. Just understand, you can't control what happened previously, and you can only control what's in front of you. So just focusing on that one play and making sure we execute in the best way possible.
JJ, I assume this is kind of the first time in your career you've gone through this much where you're losing games back-to-back and trying to recover from that. What is that like for you, just as a quarterback trying to recover during the week and kind of keep the emotional context of it in place?
I think there's an ultimate emphasis on just the process. Understanding, obviously you want the results, but growth and learning and getting better every day is the most important thing. So obviously, it sucks losing more than anything. But it's just all about that growth and staying, steadfast to the process, and making little tweaks here or there to that process.
Keep yourself there, right? Keeping the emotional part of it where you want it to be, focused on that.
I just don't think emotions are going to do anything good for us. At the end of the day, it's just like fluff, and it's not going to help us execute plays better. So just understanding where the issues are, where the problems are, and fixing them.
Everybody,
thank you.
Appreciate it. It's not just the quarterback, obviously. It's
Yeah.
the whole team. But I mean, can you win with what he's doing right now?
I think you can. I do believe that, but it does require, as a football team, not doing things that loses games, and a special teams turnover. I believe in 2 out of our last 3 games, and then ultimately, the defense is out there battling. They're trying to get the ball back for us as much as we can, but then there's some things where you can't have breakdowns around that player to consistently sustain. So as some of those things happen, or you start stacking negatives, that becomes incredibly difficult for any quarterback, never mind a guy just still in the single-digit world of career starts and all that. So we got to keep putting together plans that give us a chance to express what we want to be as an offense, with some talented players in that huddle, while also giving him a chance to grow, but not putting the game totally in his hands, where the variance of a young quarterback will cost our whole team. And I think there's a needle to thread there, and we got to just keep on building the foundation of playing the position, but also all 11 guys in that huddle doing their jobs, and then special teams has got to play the phase where I thought Will, unbelievable with those 2 field goals, and those are the types of plays where or drives where if you get points there, you're staying in the football game, staying in real football without having to go all pass, likely against a team with that kind of front.
Were you surprised at just the amount of pressure they were generating up front?
Yeah, we had a pretty good plan. Even I know JJ's first interception. There's 2 tight ends helping on the edges, and I got to go back and look at it, but didn't particularly feel like we were that was I believe one of the first few attempts for with Justin stepping in there for CD at left tackle, and we're trying to help as much as we can on the edge. But I gotta the general feel sometimes is, are we using that help? Are we fundamentally jumping on right off that, jumping on that player right off those bumps and those protections? Because outside of calling plays where you're doing that, you're essentially, when you're down points, there's that call sheet can shrink in a hurry. And we've experienced it at times this year with guys having to step in, either early in games or in the second half of games, and we didn't handle it well today whatsoever.
Kevin, Brian O'Neill was talking in the locker room about a need for urgency and guys just understanding what their job is on every single play.
Yep.
As you think about urgency for these players, where does that express itself to you that you need to see it?
Well, I think it's a mix, right? I think we've seen examples of guys pressing, maybe to try to make a play here and there, or second and long, and we're just trying to put the ball in play, and we get a drop on a second and long play that creates, where hey, maybe you have a chance to make that third and manageable right there, and it's a guy trying to catch the ball and make a play and see if he can get more and more, and that's where you feel pressing at times. But then there's other times where it's got to be technique, it's got to be strain, it's got to be fundamentals, and the 11 guys in the huddle doing their jobs. No errors, no. You don't get chances for do-overs. So when those things turn into negatives, especially when your team needs to kind of sustain a drive, maybe we pick up the special teams after that turnover. I know the defense is going out on that field wanting to pick up everybody and say, hey, we're going to hold them out right here, and they punch it in. Big deal. Let's go take the ball and let's put a drive together and get right back to where we want to be in this game and just keep applying pressure to the opponent. But we can't allow that feeling to allow the execution and the detail and some of those things to slip. And that's not really referencing the quarterback in any way, shape, or form, but he's still an inexperienced guy that's building it up as he goes. And there's just too much bad football today, specifically in the second half, really second half only, that just didn't give us a chance whatsoever, Ben.
Just in terms of JJ and his confidence, taking one on the chin today, I mean, how do you kind of keep him flying even when he's kind of gone through it these last couple of weeks?
Yeah, it's all about his preparation. It's all about going back to work and understanding, hey, this is a new week, very tough road trip ahead of us. We're going to need our quarterback to have the best week of preparation out of anybody on our team. But then we also need all the other phases of our team and the other guys in that huddle with him to do the same, and just keep on staying the course. And when we find improvement, when we find consistent examples of it, let's not be in a position where we're ever going to be a team that celebrates that short-term success. We're going to be a team that needs to just continue to press onward and execute even better and do your job even better. And that's just where our team is at right now. I think that there is definite possibilities of within, when these guys watch the tape and when they see just how close things are to going totally one way or the other, and then when you eventually do have a loss of a half of 3 turnovers in a half, you really don't give yourself a chance whatsoever to win that game. But let's dive into it to a point where I told all of our players, grade sheets beside how I played, all those things, look at it as a collective football team and say, what more can I do? Where can I find those little edges for me to do my job at that elite level, which will only help the guy next to me and the guy under center, is how our team views it. That's how our leadership views it, and I think that's why you hear from Brian O'Neill and guys like our captains, not only saying the right things, but those guys are doing the right things. And I have total faith that we're going to continue pressing onward and improving as we go.